Welcome to App Stories, a weekly exploration of the world of apps. Today's show is brought to you by Vectornator Pro and Luna Display. I'm John Voorhees, and back with me again is Mr. Federico Viticci. Hey, Federico.
Hey, John, how are you?
Well, I'm calling you Mister today, so get a little formal on you. And
it's unusual.
I know it is unusual. We got to mix it up every now and then in the intro. One thing that you and I haven't done in quite some time is a Pick 2. And I really like doing these Pick 2 shows because it gives us a chance to go a little deeper on an app that we're each using at a particular time. And we've got a couple of good ones this time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's very fun to sort of dig deeper into the apps that we're using. And I always think, like, whenever we do these kinds of episodes, that it's the perfect excuse to take a look at all my home screen pages and reconsider the apps that I have installed. And I've been doing this on my iPhone for the app that I'm going to talk about today, but also I'm doing this on my iPad because I think I'm going to set up my new iPad Pro without restoring from a backup.
Oh, I've been thinking about doing the same thing, but
I have this weird bug on my existing iPad Pro that I think is being sort of rolled over across multiple restores.
Oh, yeah?
That even if I remove the beta profile for installing iOS betas,
right,
it's not letting me install the public version of iOS.
Oh.
It insists on downloading the beta, even if I don't have the beta profile installed.
And if you don't have the profile installed, it must just kind of not work, right? I mean,
I haven't tried, honestly. I didn't want to break my iPad.
No, that would be bad.
It's not seeing the public release. And so I was thinking, maybe I shouldn't restore this backup on the new iPad Pro. And so I was taking a look at all my apps and all my folders because my iPad Pro home screen is different from the iPhone, of course, because there's the dock with like 15 apps in it.
Sure.
And so I was thinking of what I can remove, what I can, maybe go without. I have this folder full of games, but I never really play games on my iPad Pro. So I'm in the process of reevaluating a lot of things.
Yeah, it's a little painful to do that, to do the fresh install, but once in a while, I think it is kind of a good way to reevaluate what you're using. Why don't we get into the apps that we're going to talk about today? And,
all right.
And I'll get started with Grocery, because Grocery is an app that I started using. I mean, I've used it in the past, but I hadn't used it in a long time. And I started using it again after we talked several episodes ago about apps that are built on top of reminders, because I had forgotten that Grocery is built on reminders. And that is one of its greatest strengths. I mean, this is an app that lets you keep a grocery list. It's super simple when you think about it. And sure, you could create a list in Notes or on a piece of paper or whatever and still go grocery shopping. But Grocery, the app, has some features that make it particularly good for shopping. So one of the things is it's built on top of reminders. And one of the cool things is you can use, as a result, reminders or Grocery to create the list. So, for instance, I share the grocery list with my wife, Jennifer, and my kids. And so anybody can put something on there, and they don't have to use Grocery then. They can just use the reminders app. Or I can ask Siri to add things to my grocery list because Siri does reminders really well. So that's often how I do it too, because our kitchen and our living room are kind of in the same open space, so that if I'm in the kitchen and doing something and realize we're out of something, I'm right there near the HomePod and can use Siri to add to the list. What I really like about Grocery, and if you go into its advanced settings, it can manage duplicates for you and get rid of duplicates, which once you start using Siri to add your grocery list is very handy because you'll find that you can't see the list. So obviously what I end up doing is saying, oh, we need milk. And then 2 days later, oh, we need milk. And I'll add it twice with Siri, but Grocery will take care of that. And milk will only show up once on the list.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
yeah,
convenient.
that's really nice with the HomePod. The other thing is that because it's on reminders, even though Grocery doesn't have a Mac app, you can add on a Mac just because you can go into the reminders app and add things to your list that way. So it makes it really flexible. The app has kind of that clean, modern design with nice big typography and bold headers that is very much in the style of maps and music and all those apps that we saw start coming in with iOS 10 and 11. And that chunky and large fonts help make it easy to read when you're actually shopping. The app actually learns the order in which you purchase things. So as you're walking through a store and you're picking up items and checking them off your list, it notes the order in which you're checking them off. So next time you add those things to your list, it comes in the order that you checked them off the last time you shopped. So it learns your path through the grocery store, basically.
Yeah.
Which makes it a little handier to use. Plus, just the fact that the things you've checked off, you can easily add back to your list, makes creating lists after you've done it a couple of times super easy. There's support for multiple stores. So if you have, whether it's multiple grocery stores, or maybe you go to a bakery or a meat market or something like that, you can have lists that are associated with different stores for those different shopping trips. And there's even power user features like a URL scheme that can both open the app itself or can add items. So, you just have a list of plain text items with return characters to separate them. That can be used whether you're in something like drafts or shortcuts. You can use either of those to build a list and throw them into the app as well. I don't know. What else? You've used this before, haven't you?
I've used it before, but I haven't been using it in a while. And actually, I didn't know about the deduplication of items. I had no idea it was going to do that. So I should probably reconsider this app. Let me ask you, have you tried it on the new Apple Watch? Does it have support for the new complications?
It does. It has a complication, and it also has an Apple Watch app as well. And I find that use all the complication does is it opens up the list that you've got. So it doesn't do anything particularly fancy, but it's really handy to use on the Apple Watch because if you're in a store and you're pushing a cart with one hand, especially now that I've got the 10X Max in my other hand, putting that in your other hand and trying to grab things off the shelf and do all that, it's a recipe for dropping your phone in the store and breaking it. So this way you can keep it, securely in your pocket or wherever and use your Apple Watch to check things off as you go, which is pretty nice. And I've used it shopping simultaneously with Jennifer too, where she'll have her phone and I'll be using my watch, and it syncs fast enough through iCloud that even if the two of us are in different parts of the store, we can see that one or the other of us picked up something and we're all set, and we don't have to we don't end up with duplicate things in our cart, which is pretty nice. If you press and hold on the screen, do a force touch on the screen in grocery, you can switch stores, you can undo actions, and you can also add items. And add items, it's the usual way you do that you do it by voice, which works well enough, but I don't really use that feature so much. I guess the other things I'd mention is just like reminders, there can be notes attached to grocery items. I don't really use that, but if you need some details about something very specific you need to buy, that's a good place to put that. This episode of App Stories is brought to you by our friends at Luna Display. Luna Display is the only hardware solution that turns your iPad into a wireless display for your Mac. It's really quite amazing. You'll have a super portable second display with stunning image quality and basically zero lag. Setting up the Luna Display is so simple, you'll be up and running in seconds with everything working over Wi-Fi. And even if you don't have a good Wi-Fi connection, you can use a USB cable to accomplish the same thing. It's super simple. Luna Display also acts as a complete extension of your Mac. That means it supports external keyboards as well as the Apple Pencil and touch interactions. It basically turns your Mac into a touchscreen device. All of this is possible through this incredibly small piece of hardware that plugs into either a USB-C port or a mini display port. You run a little software on your Mac, an app on your iPad, and you're good to go. It just takes a few seconds to set up, and it's super simple to use. I've got a special deal just for listeners of this show. Listeners of App Stories can get an exclusive 10% discount on Luna Display. This is a great holiday gift idea for the creative people in your life. It gets people up and away from their desk and working in a more comfortable environment. Just go to lunardisplay.com and enter the promo code AppStories today at checkout, and you'll get 10% off. Again, that's lunardisplay.com and the promo code AppStories at checkout. Our thanks to Lunar Display for their support of App Stories.
I'm taking a look at the screenshots for the complication, and I think it's very nice that it actually supports the corner type complication on the infograph face.
Right.
The default screenshot on the App Store is kind of funny because it just says asparagus, which is perfect. I'm looking at my watch and I see asparagus in a corner. I'm thinking about this in the context of I don't know if I've talked about this on App Stories, but I'm trying to use the Apple Watch more and more as an independent device. So separate from the iPhone, because I bought the cellular Apple Watch this year, finally.
Sure.
I switched to carriers to get cellular support. And this will probably be the angle of the Apple Watch Series 4 review that I wanna do at some point. But in the context of grocery shopping, I like the idea of leaving the phone at home and going to the supermarket and just having the grocery list on my wrist.
Yep.
And it uses reminders, so Sylvia could have access to the same list. But I wanted to mention in the context of this, just using the watch without the iPhone, that a while back I put out a call, I think on Connected, for the ability to connect the Apple Watch to my car Bluetooth. And I looked at a bunch of options, couldn't find what I was looking for. And thankfully on Twitter, somebody recommended this little dongle. And I know that we're always full of dongles, especially now with USB-C. It's like
Yes.
dongle town is everywhere. This is another dongle for your car. So it's called there's going to be a link in the show notes, but it's called the MPOW, MPOW Bluetooth adapter. It's a Bluetooth 4.1 adapter that has on one end an aux plug that basically plugs into the headphone jack of my car.
Okay.
And it pretends to be headphones. So
All right.
the Apple Watch connects to these quote unquote headphones that is actually a dongle that is actually sending audio from my Apple Watch to my car. And I tried this one day that I was going to the supermarket with just my Apple Watch. I had a phone call and I listened to music that was playlists in the music app on the watch.
Right.
And it worked fine. It worked perfectly. I was able to play music from the watch, to have a phone call managed just from the watch through my car speakers and the microphone of the watch. I'm really happy with this. So in the context of your pick, I'm probably going to rethink the way that we manage groceries around this app, because I've always loved the idea of automatic sorting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think grocery is the only app that supports this. I think there's an alternative. It's called Bring. I think it's got an exclamation point in its title.
Okay.
It's a grocery shopping list app. It's got a green icon with the shopping bag and a check mark on it, I think. It also offers automatic sorting. But my experience with grocery last year, I think, it was very good, and the machine learning based sorting really does work. It's not just a buzzword. It works as advertised. And the app seems to have gotten a lot better since I last tried it. So I'm considering maybe putting the complication in a corner of my watch face, because I'm still unhappy with the complications that I have. And I'm trying to optimize, my setup. I'm using grocery, creating a new list with Sylvia, using grocery to manage the things that we want to buy, setting up multiple stores, because there's usually 2 stores that we go to, and then seeing if I can just go to the supermarket without my iPhone. I could have Peacock installed if I need to calculate something.
There you go.
And I could have grocery on my watch and just leave the iPhone at home, because I really like the feeling of not having the phone with me.
Yeah, no, that is a good idea. I that dongle that you have been playing with,
crazy.
It is crazy, and I bet you could do things like dictate text messages too. I guess, right?
Oh my god!
I'm wondering if you
should
could
try that.
You should try it and see. I don't know if you can have Siri read your text messages on the watch. It does that in CarPlay. I'm glad you mentioned the corner complication because I had not actually even tried that. I didn't realize that you can put asparagus in the corner.
Yes, you can have asparagus in the corner.
So that's good. I'm glad you corrected me on that. It's a neat app. I mean, there's also multiple icons if you don't want the lemon, which is kind of the default.
I never liked the lemon. I always use the strawberry because I never
all right.
liked the lemon one.
Okay, they've got a potato, which I think is kind of a weird choice, but there's also because it just looks like a rock or something. And then there's carrot, lemon, the lemon, which is the default, eggplant, and avocado. So I switched mine to the avocado for fun.
All right, let me see the icons here. Well, the avocado is looking good, actually. So it's either going to be the strawberry or the avocado for me. I think the strawberry, I really like the color. So
yeah,
there you go.
That's a good one. That one, actually, I considered that one too. I just switched this a couple of days ago when we were talking about doing this show.
I also wanted to clarify that the Bluetooth dongle, I'm still not sure if the microphone, when I'm talking to the watch, if it's using the microphone of the watch or if the dongle is a microphone or if it's using the microphone of my car. I don't think it's using the microphone of my car.
Probably not your car, yeah. But it could have its own microphone because a lot of headphones have microphones.
I keep forgetting to check on the instruction manual of this dongle, which, by the way, has many typos in it. Doesn't surprise me. Anyway, the second thing that I wanted to mention, John, is that I also looked into installing an aftermarket CarPlay unit in my car.
Oh, I know who gave you that idea.
Yes, our common friend Stephen Hackett. I don't think it can be done on my Kia Sportage.
Oh, that's too bad.
I have the 2016 Kia Sportage,
right,
which is just before Kia added support for CarPlay with a software update. I don't have the 2017 model. I have the 2016. But I looked and it looks like it cannot be done, or you need a professional to do it.
Right.
So I Googled Rome installation of CarPlay, but I didn't find any shops. So
yeah. Oh well.
So yeah.
I've been pretty happy with CarPlay, but it can be frustrating only because the hardware, it's somewhat dependent on the manufacturer's hardware. So the experience tends to vary from car to car. Because I know, like, I'll plug my iPhone in because mine's wired, and I'll back out of the driveway, drive down the block, take a turn, and it's usually 2 blocks into the drive before it's actually playing anything, any music or any podcast. This episode of App Stories is brought to you by Vectornator Pro. Vectornator Pro is a design app that unlocks the power of vector graphics design for everyone. This is a really advanced app. It's got a high-performance rendering engine and a great user interface that allows fast workflows. That means you can create high-quality illustrations and designs on the go. Vectornator Pro integrates with Adobe Creative Cloud too, and works with the Apple Pencil and third-party input devices. Another hallmark of Vectornator Pro is its UI, which is focused on your artwork, bringing it to the front and center. All parts of the UI have been recently rethought and redesigned to simplify it and make it faster to use. It looks fantastic too. You really need to go check out this app to see what I mean. To highlight just a few of those recent changes, there's a new color picker and a slick new toolbar. And there's an action bar for your most recently used tool, which is super handy because it keeps the tool you use the most close at hand. There's an inspector tool too that's context aware, which means the tool you need is right there when you need it based on what you're doing. Vectornator Pro works on both iPhone and iPad. The team has done a tremendous job with the iPhone UI in particular, making those powerful tools available, but out of your way so you can concentrate on your artwork. One of the ways they do this is with a design that's focused on translucency and floating elements that prevents the tools from competing with your art for attention. I want to just mention a few other features that I want listeners to know about because I know you'll love them. Layers are automatically named using CoreML. Your artwork is rendered live using a powerful metal accelerated rendering engine. The Creative Cloud integration also means that you can move seamlessly between a Mac and an iPad or iPhone. You can import and export PDF and Illustrator files too. And there's Icons 8 integration, which means you've got over 80,000 free icons to choose from. On top of all of that, Vectornator Pro is free. That's right, it's free. So go right now to vectornator.io to learn more about this awesome app. Maybe just go to the App Store and download it and start playing with it because it's free. There's nothing to lose. I'll include links to both the App Store and vectornator.io in the show notes. Thanks again to Vectornator Pro for supporting the show. All right, why don't we jump on over to the second app that's your pick?
All right, this app came out a couple of weeks ago. It's called HomeRun, and it lets you run HomeKit scenes on the watch. So here's an introductory statement. The Home app on the watch is bad. It's a really bad app. It's slow to use. It's got an unintuitive UI. You know, it's this scrollable gallery of rectangular tiles that all look the same. It's not clear, but as your review of HomeRun mentioned, it's picking up your favorite scenes from the Home app on the iPhone. This is totally unclear from the interface. It's not mentioned anywhere. And whenever I open the Apple Home app on the watch, I feel lost and I feel like I'm not seeing the scenes that I need. So most of the time, I resort to using Siri to activate what I need to activate via HomeKit.
When I did that review, I thought to myself, there must be a reason these things are in this order. And so I had to go looking because I couldn't figure it out at first. I mean, maybe that's partly on me because my favorites in the Home app are kind of a jumble and not very well organized, but it's not clear at all from the watch app.
Yeah. So most of the time I end up using Siri, but if it's late at night and I just have my watch on me, I don't want to talk to Siri and wake up the dogs or wake up Sylvia. I just want to tap around on my watch, and the Home app is bad. HomeRun is what you need to use because it's very simple. You have an iPhone app where you can create the layout that you will see on the watch. So you can create this layout of smaller, much smaller rectangular tiles. Each of these buttons triggers a HomeKit scene. So the app can automatically pick up the scenes that you have configured in the Home app. You can assign a custom color and a custom glyph, a custom icon to each button. You can choose to have a single rectangular tile per row or two tiles, two smaller ones next to each other in a single row.
You can actually do 3 even, Federico.
See, there you go. I didn't even know. So you can do 3.
That allows you to squeeze 12 on the screen of a of a 44 millimeter watch. Yeah.
Very nice. So you can do 3. The changes that you make on the iPhone are instantly reflected in the HomeRun app on the watch. So you can easily build this grid of multiple colors and different icons for different scenes. So for example, let's take a look at the HomeRun app that I have on my watch right now. I have at the very top a single tile for a scene called All of the Lights, which is, of course, inspired by a Kanye West song back when Kanye used to be good. You don't need to mention me, please. This is what I think. All of the Lights, which it turns all of my lights white and to 100%. This is an easy way. If I want to turn all of my lights all at once, this is what it does. Second tile is an orange button with a coffee icon on it, and it turns on my coffee maker. And this is one of the, I should describe how this works. So I have a Seiko espresso machine that is connected to one of those old Belkin plugs. First generation one that to work with HomeKit, I had to buy the new Belkin Wemo bridge that retroactively adds support for HomeKit to these old plugs. The reason why I'm still using this is, first of all, it supports the plug that my espresso machine has, but also it's got a button on it and an LED indicator. I cannot find a smart plug that works with my, I think it's called a Shuko plug or something like that, that has a physical button to override whatever smart commands you send to the plug. So it's got a physical switch and it's got a light. I cannot find an alternative with the same features.
The Belkin ones all have that, I think, because I have one of the newer. I have an old one and a newer Belkin plug, and they both have that kind of switch that you can use.
What I like about HomeRun is that it supports toggling states for scenes. So my scene, by default, it turns on the coffee maker. But when I tap on the scene on the HomeRun app on the watch, it shows you with the message and with the selection color that you just turned on a scene.
Right.
But also, if you tap it again, you can turn it off. So you can basically toggle the opposite of a scene, which means turn off the plug. So that's really convenient because I can tap it to turn it on and tap it again to turn it off. I mean, it looks very good. It's an actual HomeRun as a layout that makes sense, that is fully customizable in a simple way. I love it when iPhone apps offer you a way to preview what something is going to look like on the watch. For example, Carrot Weather is another app that lets you do the same with complications, and I really like that approach. HomeRun supports complications, but supports complication in a way that only you can assign a scene to a complication, but it's not like you can run the scene in the background. So this is one of the things that I was expecting, and I hope that Apple opens up the APIs enough for developers in the future to add this feature. Right now, if you tap on the HomeRun complication, it'll launch the app and then run the scene. I was expecting to tap a button on my watch face and run the scene in the background. That would be very nice because it would mean that I could turn on the coffee maker or turn on the lights directly from the watch face. Right now, that is not possible. You will have to wait until the HomeRun app launches, which is fast enough on the Series 4 watch, but still it doesn't happen in the background. So in the future, hopefully this will be possible. Basically, this is a much more reasonable UI than the Home app on the watch. It's colorful, it's fun, it works great with HomeKit scenes. It works very nicely on the Series 4 watch. I haven't tried remote access yet, but I think it will work because it uses the HomeKit APIs, which out of the box, they support remote connections on cellular, so it should work. And essentially, if you're a heavy HomeKit user and you have a lot of HomeKit devices and you want an easier way to turn them on and off or turn on specific scenes from the watch, this is the app you need to use because the Apple Home app really is bad and doesn't make sense and it's slow. And yes, it's installed by default, and yes, you will need to pay money. For HomeRun, I think it's $2.99 on the App Store, but if you use HomeKit a lot, it's really worth the cost.
Yeah, it really is. I've got 7 that are set up on mine right now. The first 3 are pairs. They're to turn on lights in my studio and turn them back off again. Then to do the same for lights that I have outside on my garage and by my back door. Another one to turn the temperature down in my house, to turn the thermostat down when I'm away, and then to reset it to the normal when I'm on my way back home. And then a final one that just dims the lights in the living room, like when we're watching television. So, that's not all the scenes that I use, but it's the ones I use the most often. And with the ability to put a dozen of these on a single watch screen, it really is, you have to have just dozens and dozens of scenes before you're even doing much scrolling at all. Because you can put, just scrolling to 2 screens and you could have 24 of these. It's a really great way to do it. And the combination of the color and the icons, despite the fact that there's no text on any of these labels, which is another thing that's unlike the Home app. There's no text, but the color and the icons make it easy to recognize what you're looking at. And they're in this grid that's, obviously in whatever order makes sense to you that you set them up in. And I find it the best way to deal with scenes. And it doesn't go down to the granularity of accessories, which is another thing the Home app does. First there's a list of scenes, and then there's a list of accessories on the Home app, and you scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll all the way through those, and they're all the same color, and there's all this text, and this is just a lot simpler. All right, Federico. Well, those are 2 really great picks this week. I'm looking forward to doing one of these again sometime soon. Mm-hmm. Thanks again to our 2 sponsors, Lunar Display and Vectornator Pro, for making this episode possible. And as usual, you can find me and Federico over at macstories.net writing. Federico is also on Twitter. He's at Viticci. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees, JOHN VOORHWS. Talk to you next week, Federico.
Ciao, John.